All right, everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob for Smirking Gun Reviews. We're back with more of The Man in the High Castle. We're at Season 2, Episode 6. Wow. Kintsugi? Oh my god. You know how you can prepare for something so much and then it comes time to say it, the actual words, and it just doesn't come out? Well, anyway, the name of this episode basically is it's a Japanese philosophy about repairing something that's broken using like a gold, fixing something, just because it's broken doesn't mean that it, can't be fixed. That just something that has like faults or cracks. Kind of the whole thing is basically kind of an analogy about the genetic defects that people are worried about in the Reich. That just because something isn't perfect, doesn't mean that you can't repair it or try to do something with it. And there's a lot of that going around in here this week. So full spoilers if you haven't seen the episode. So let's just get to like each character's thing. First, we'll just discuss the Yakuza find the burned out farmhouse with all the films. And so, they're looking for the man in the high castle or Abinson. And then I like how bookending, like the Japanese police, the Kinte, I can't even say it. I don't know what's going on with me today. The Kemputai. They're looking for it. They show up too later, so they're like on the heels of the Yakuza, but they don't know that the Yakuza is looking for it. I mean, it's just like nobody's communicating with each other. Everybody's got their own agendas, and the Yakuza just seem to always be one step ahead. So there is a farmer that says that this lets the Japanese know, the Kemputai know that the Yakuza are looking for these films. And I would think that if one or the other had to choose, like the Kemputai should probably try to find out, like, should they back off or what? Because the Yakuza looking for the films, and then using when they get them, they blackmail. Well, not blackmail. They hold them for ransom. And if I was the Kemputai, I'd be pleading with the government, the higher ups, to stop the Yakuza from taking these films and then blackmailing their own people to get them back. But what kind of like control does the Yakuza have in the bigger government? Um, we have a lack of Frank and everything, and you know what? I'm kind of just fine without the Frank and the resistance part. Like, I need it. It's nice that we have a little break from that. Not that it's bad. It's just Frank kind of annoys me. So it's nice to have like we already have. Let's just talk about Juliana. So Juliana is being asked to infiltrate the Nazis by George Dixon, played by Tate Donovan. Um, but the way that she wants to go about it and the way they want to go about it are two different things. And she, shows up at Smith's wife's house, well, Smith's house, where his wife is having, bridge with a bunch of girls. She just happens to show up. That's one of those tropes where people like, oh, am I interrupting? Oh, well, you'll have to teach me how to do whatever it is you're doing. Or, oh, I've always wanted to blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, come on in. That whole chestnut of conveniently going, oh, great. Well, now I feel obligated to let this asshole in my house. So, of course, and she's all like, meek and stuff. And I guess when you're around new people, and especially the Nazis, you might be a little nervous. But I just feel like it's a little much. Like, just, oh, ladies, no, act normal. Then people won't, fucking think you're weird. I know it's hard to act normal, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Those kind of situations just annoy me. Like, why can't people just walk into a room? It's not like they're all gonna all of a sudden pull out guns on you and be like, or like pod people from Invasions of the Body Snatchers, where you act a little different. They all go, "Argh!" So anyway, she goes in there and she kind of subtly works her way into this group, having the stuff, the coffee spill on her, and kind of trying to develop a connection with the one girl who takes her shopping and tries to make her feel normal and get her acclimated a little bit more to this world that she's living in. And this is where you find out that this girl's worried that she can't have kids, and then that'd be a genetic problem, and her husband wouldn't look at her the same, or maybe he doesn't already. And that's when Juliana talks to her about the philosophy about fixing, the Japanese philosophy about fixing things. Speaking of the philosophies of the Japanese, is that conversation that they were all having at the table about how the Japanese think they're superior, and then their immediate conversations are just like how superior they think they are, and it's just they're both sides are just such assholes, such fucking assholes about everything. Like, oh, they're not superior, we're superior. Their ways are stupid. It's just so like, how did they ever get along enough to divide the country up, without killing each other outright? Um, so no wonder it's on the brink of war. But I mean, I feel like it wouldn't even have gotten to that point. Like, I feel like one side or the other would have just made a move and said, "We're gonna give this place one side, but immediately we're just gonna let them get comfortable and just take it down because they hate each other so much over like that peace that is so fragile." And I can't believe it's gone on this long. It's like their own Cold War. Um, so Juliana, talks to George a little bit more about how Trudy got involved in this thing, and that's pretty much it for Juliana. I mean, getting into with the Smith and their little groups is an important thing. It's an important step. Speaking of the Smiths, dealing with Thomas getting that letter saying he's been invited to go to South America for like missionary work. I love like their kind of missionary work though isn't like bringing religion or whatever to people. It's more to like spread their religion, the Nazi religion, into other places or whatever. Help out there. And it's pretty Ozzy and Harriet, fathers knows best, leave it to Beaver type stuff where the family is, no, you're not going, and it's so normal, and like Juliana says, you wouldn't even know they were Nazis. And the whole thing, you have to wait till like near the end where his wife, Smith's wife, goes to him and says he's not going, right? We can't let him go. They're gonna find out what he is. And this is like, again, still kind of like the most interesting aspect of the story is the irony of these people having to, I don't know if it's irony, but the fact that, they live this life and now they have to basically, go against their complete belief system to protect their own child, and how they feel like, that this is the right thing to do. I mean, yes, protecting your children is always the right thing to do. But based on their whole philosophy, they're big ass hypocrites. Big honking hypocrites, because if it was anybody else, I mean, now they'd have to be faced with, after their situation, they'd have to be faced with the dilemma of having to do that to other people. And would they? So, of course Smith set this up. He's so fucking smart. So it's all just a ruse. And it's the only thing that he could come up with. And it is pretty brilliant, but it's heartbreaking for them as well, because then they really might never see him again, and it is brilliant. I just love the way Smith thinks sometimes. I mean, it's evil most of the time, but like, he's so damn smart. So this whole trip is just a ruse. Like, he set up a trip. There are people going to be out there. This is a thing. He set it all up. Just so that they could, send his kid down there to fake kidnap him, send him someplace safe, in that kind of like, maybe not there, but he'd probably have to be transferred to somewhere completely opposite from there. And then they'd have to go on their search, and years of looking and never giving up, and ultimately having to fail just to make sure that their kid doesn't die then. He still has, apparently, he could live for decades with his genetic problem, and that they would probably never see him again. It's possible, whatever. But I mean, it is, now it's like they figured out how to save his life, but now they have to say goodbye. And that's pretty crazy because, again, like Juliana and George are talking, like I didn't expect to have feelings for these people. I didn't expect to have empathy for them. And you don't, because you have to try to remember these are Nazis, but they're people, and it's like they've got no matter, it's very Game of Thrones kind of ways of thinking, because not everybody is 100% bad, not everybody's 100% good, but when it comes to the type, the situation where your characters are Nazis, it's a very, like, how do you go, yeah, I understand, like, how do you stay on their side when you just know that really in the end they need to be wiped out? And it's like, oh well, it's because it's kids, and kids can't, they can't help being born into whatever, and being brainwashed or whatever. So it's such a complex goddamn way of thinking, and they constantly make you feel things for these people that just make you go, oh, why do I feel this way? Because we're human. I guess if we didn't have these feelings, we'd probably be sociopaths or whatever, or narcissists or psychopaths. Um, so that's that story. Let's touch really quickly on Tagomi. Him still in the alternate reality, are basically our reality, where his son and Juliana, that version, they're fighting against anti-nuclear weapons protests. This is the Cuban Missile Crisis. The episode does end with JFK's speech about the Cuban Missile Crisis, about condemning that and what would happen, and we have to might and right and stuff. It's a really great speech, and it does it over a montage of all our characters kind of prepping up to do the next thing. And it's more interesting to see like Tagomi's take on this world and how this will affect him going forward in his reality. And the fact that they're all fooled by this change, this massive change in this character, because the way like, they don't switch places, do they? I mean, that's another question. But anyway, yeah, like the fact that they don't notice that he's a completely different person is a little weird, but that's huge. Like, what happens to the person that is in that reality? Is he around? Because they say he's on like a bender. What if he shows up? Like, that would be fucking crazy. Okay, so finally we get to Joe, and I can't believe Joe is the last thing I'm talking about, because normally I find Joe to be a fucking moron. Because he's easily manipulated and falls for everything. And I guess it's, you could say, well, it's his quest for family and acceptance, and who doesn't want that? But, when Smith tells him, Juliana's dead, we're just waiting for confirmation. Juliana's dead in his mind. He doesn't have any reason to question it. And he seems to jump around. He's kind of a little man whore, I think. He's with Rita. He's comfortable enough to be with Rita and hanging out with her kid, and again probably family connection. But he desires Juliana, and then at the second he finds out she's gone, he is completely open to being with this Nicole chick, even though at first he doesn't quite trust her, but he's down to get with her like already. But the whole party that he goes to with this new Reich generation. Those are like, I mean, this is set in the 60s, but I swear, that group of people that's the kind of group you'd see today. Just these, I don't know, they're like half hippie, half Nazi, half politically, socially, environmentally conscious Nazis. I mean, they're very pretentious as fuck. But in this, Joe trips on the drug that they give to people to do mind control, and Joe kind of has this epiphany that he sees Juliana. I think the hallucination says, "I'm alive, Joe," which is maybe something his subconscious was always telling him, and that what he has to do is do something that matters, like make this matter. And that is kind of like the most important thing, because whether or not because I still feel like this Nicole girl is just bullshit. I just maybe she wasn't completely. I feel like it's just still all like kind of set up. But I feel like where we're headed is to get Joe to basically become the new Führer. That they need somebody with the genetic bloodline, so that when uh, the Führer dies or is assassinated or whatever, they can have somebody that is genetically his like successor, somebody that the younger generation would be able to get behind. Um, so that's just what I think, but I could be wrong, and that's pretty much it. I feel like if I'm missing anything, it's a smaller detail, but it's a pretty good episode. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. We're at 195 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. Comment, share, all that jazz. We've got Ozark Season 1 video coming later, and I just put up my Deadpool 2 Super Duper Cut review. It's just a little recommendation video. No real spoilers or anything in it. I got Castle Rock Season 1 Episode 5 just got put up about 10 hours ago or so. And yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff still coming. We got Disenchanted coming up. We got Ozark Season 2 coming up. Jack Ryan coming up. So there's a whole bunch of stuff coming to the channel. And we got Better Call Saul on Mondays. Preacher on Sundays. Sharp Objects if it stops being whatever it is on Sundays. And that's about it. So anyway, this is Rob for Smirking Gun Reviews saying have a nice day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.